Welcome to Journey to Idylwild, fellas. So, a lot of people go on normal hiking expeditions, right? Like around here, the closest thing I know is somewhere in Lake Elsinore. People go to the fish. That's cool. I heard they have hunting grounds. That's really cool. Then they have campgrounds and they have, freaking, pardon me, I was paying attention. It sounds really dumb or gross, but I was paying attention to scat. Sometimes when you see a piece of crap on the floor, you want to try to decipher what kind of animal that is. If it's human, if it's wild boar, coyote, somebody walking their dog, mountain lion, you get the point. You never know. But those kind of hiking expeditions that I was talking about, you see, I don't know if you can see this. Whenever you walk down these rocks, you gotta really fucking test them with your weight. You can roll an ankle. You could pin your leg between shit. It could be a deadly survival situation. Like you're gonna have to saw your fucking leg off to get back home. So people go on those hiking expeditions where it's like howdy neighbor, I haven't seen you since last July. With oh yeah, I did bring up compass. Anyways, I go off the beaten path. The reason why I guess I'm worth watching is I try to explore places where there could be an imminent threat. And you learn cool stuff. Like, what we're gonna do today is, I don't mean to get political, but some things are really important. This should be all water. This dried up or something. I can hear the water, so I'm gonna try to make a boar spear, guys. We're gonna see how that goes. But first we have to find the right kind of stick, or yeah, you know what I mean, long stick or whatever. But yeah, if I knew where any abandoned buildings were or whatever, I would go explore those. The only problem is California's retarded, okay? I heard other places are worse. Like, for example, I heard the Carousel Mall, which a billion years ago used to be called the Circle, the Central City Plaza. Carousel Mall in San Bernardino. I heard it's abandoned. I heard it's haunted or whatever, right? Here's a problem. If I were to spend time to go investigate that and make a video about it, I have two dilemmas. I can go there completely unarmed, like no knife, no tomahawk, no walking spear. I can go there completely unarmed, so when inevitably security or police come and vet me, they have nothing on me and I'm free to go. And then I could probably run into a volatile crackhead or some vicious wild dog and then be utterly screwed. I like to be prepared. Okay. Or I could go there, knife or something like that. And then when security or authorities or whatever come and mess with me, they can have probable cause to just keep fucking pissing me off. So let's hold this away from us. Okay. So I parked like directly freaking north. So let's try to remind myself that anywhere toward east is going to hit that road. it seems. I'm not the most, the greatest navigator. So, oh, I can actually see. I need glasses, but okay, so, whatchamacallit, 180 degrees northeast is basically where we is supposed to go later. So let's see, I'm headed roughly southeast. So the opposite of that would be northwest. Northwest or northeast is how to get back. Roughly northwest or northeast. East. Go fucking east to get the hell back. So, yeah, you get the dilemma, guys. Or else I go on some really interesting little expeditions. I'm thinking about going back to the Santa Ana River. I just made a bunch of videos about going to the Santa Ana River. And I'm not a spring chicken, guys, so I'm going to be moving pretty slowly. Trust me, I've broken my ankles 3 times in my life. So a lot of people go, why do you talk about politics and have patriotic zeal? You never served. Well, that's why, man. I've broken my ankles 3 fucking times in my life. It's a long story if anybody gives a shit. But, yeah. So don't break your ankles. And so if you're in a survival situation or if you had to live out in the boonies, you can see how this is a lot of intrepidation here. Because you're spending a lot of energy, like it's been like 15 minutes already or more. I've barely covered any ground. And another thing, like things that you're going to bring with you on a survival situation, a bug out situation, and or just a really arduous hike. A dilemma is like a machete would be very good to clear trails so that you don't have to keep walking around stuff. But you're spending calories with your machete, and not always, but usually, a machete isn't really good at chopping wood. Now, for anybody out there that's like, what are you talking about? A lot of people chop wood with machetes. Yeah, like thin branches and shit. A machete is supposed to be thin, guys. Like, a machete that I would recommend. I mean, there's a lot of good out there. I mean, Cold Steel makes some really long machetes, but like a machete that you could fight with pretty reasonably, and it's what I'm trying to say is you can go to Harbor Freight and buy like a freaking 20-inch long machete, right? And it's also a piece of shit. But yeah, it's formidable. I wouldn't want to run into somebody with that. Or you could do what I would do if I was on a budget. I'd get the Cold Steel Black Bear Bowie. And you'll notice right away, if you know about blades, that's a pretty thin blade. I think it's a full flat grind. So full flat grind, thin blade. It's a machete. And the plus about that is it's easy to sharpen, especially with Cold Steel nowadays. They're making all their crap in China because they got bought by GSM. Chinese steel is really, I mean, unless they make some kind of like crazier quality or whatever, but every time I buy a made in China knife, it's really easy to sharpen. full flat grind, hollow grinds, those things get sharp as razors. The knife I have on me is a saber grind. It's a really big, thick knife. It doesn't get that sharp, but it can freaking chop, and it's not gonna break anytime soon. You get a thin machete, and you try to baton it through some really, really hard wood. Well, you know what's gonna happen? You're probably gonna bend the shit out of your blade. You're probably gonna make the handle really loose. You get the point. But one thing you'll learn about this, like, if you were stuck here on a survival situation, like those hills over there, trust me, you're not climbing those, because once you get over there, it's like a flat cliff face. I mean, you could be Spider-Man or something like that and climb them. You could be very athletic ninja warrior, but you're also probably not going to be dragging a backpack full of water up there. Or you're going to come here and just see if you can do it and soon have to walk back to your vehicle because you ran out of water. You have no food. So if you're carrying a lot of shit with you, you got to be mindful that, you know, you're bogged down by weight. Like I'm packing as light as I've ever packed before. And that means I didn't bring a ferro rod. That means like I don't have the warmest clothes to stay out here forever. That means like if I had to build a fire and I got lost, I only could build like 1 or 2 fires. Yeah. Also, about building fires, I got relatively good at that for a normal person. It's hard. You could bring lighter fluid or whatever. Sure, it's extra weight, but depending on what season it is, if you have to camp out and make a fire, you better do that shit well before dusk or dawn. So last time I built a cool fire, just wasn't enough wood to go around. You just spend so much energy chopping wood that it almost defeats the purpose to sit there and rest. But yeah, it is what it is. And I should have probably drove a little bit farther up the mountain or something, but oh, another consideration here. Another consideration is, imagine if you ran into like a bobcat or a mountain lion here. Like, it's hard for you to get footing. Like, you're definitely not running away. And like, if I were to try to use my walking spear, it's gonna take you like how many seconds to analyze the stance that you have to get and the footing that you have to get and perceiving the threat and danger and what to do with it. Whereas a mountain lion could just jump on the rocks to and fro, like jumping on the rocks to and fro like it's nothing, you know, like playing tic-tac-toe. So always considerations like that. You know, you can think you're Bear Grylls. It looks good in theory, but once you get out in the wild, also walking pretty slow to test the rocks, making sure I'm not going to slip and sprain an ankle or whatever, you know. And honestly, I think hiking without a walking stick is fucking impossible. I mean, maybe when I was 19 years old, I could do it. And, you know, people talk about getting old. I'm going to say some naive things just to be positive. I don't believe in getting old. What happens with age is you had more time to get injured. You had more time that you had to make money, and all you do is work and come home and sleep or watch TV. And you stop working out. You stop exercising. You stop doing your robust hobbies. and you start what they call adulting. And then, you know, you start getting bad backs and all that kind of all that kind of bad shit. That's really the only thing that makes you old. Don't necessarily feel like disclosing my age right now, but I was told I would looked and I felt really young for my age. I was an athlete, did martial arts, yeah, whatever. Good for me. And and then I mean, okay, so when I was doing all that stuff, I was always broke all the time. I wasn't working that many hours. It's hard to find full-time jobs, right? I couldn't buy cool stuff, go hiking, exploring, or whatever. But I had plenty of time, so I used it to get in shape. And now that you know, for the last 4 years, I've been working like nocturnally and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm doing is just attempting to put this where I'm gonna remember, like a marker, like to remember where I'm at or something. So people fucking littering and shit. See, this is where a machete would really come in handy. Like, I'm being kind of lazy. I don't really want to traverse trails, but this would be really good if I still had my K-bar kukri. Just cut this shit out of the way. And yeah, another thing, if you don't have a thin machete, if you have like a thick blade, instead of chopping these branches out of your way, you'll kind of just bend them down. Now the sun's coming out. I'm gonna probably have to ditch a jacket or something. Body just gave me a heat warning, you know. Only brought 2 bottles of water. A lot of stuff growing on those rocks, like some kind of algae. This is California for you. See how there's like, it's just desert. You're destined to have sun exposure. It's gonna be 75 degrees today, man. It's almost winter time. I mean, I guess, because if it was colder, it'd probably be raining, but I really don't like the heat, guys. See what I mean? Like you're not climbing those hills with gear on. And there's like no trail. There's like no trail. There's no freaking, there's no shade. You know, it's just, like, the only good thing that came out of me coming to California was if I stayed in Ohio, I probably wouldn't have learned martial arts. Like, I mean, in California, the everything's just more copious. In martial arts schools, right? And then, pathetically, it took me 1 billion years to snag a really hot chick. I hate guys that brag to other dudes about that. But yeah, whatever. Good for me. If I stayed in Ohio, like, I put up with so much stupid shit, man. The freaking traffic out here is hell on earth. I just don't fit in or belong here. It's just, it's god-awful traffic. And it's a bunch of Karens. And you kind of have to be like a gangster or like a fuck boy, like, to like be normal here. If you look like Tactical Elmer Fudd, like I'm looking at, like, attract negative attention galore. So, but I probably had to take off a layer of clothes because of the sun already. It was cold when I first started this. That's how the California desert is. It's like really hot during the day, really cold at night. And you got to keep playing like musical chairs with jackets. But yeah, I'm not bragging. The only reason I got a hot chick like twice, technically 3 times. The first time was because the chick didn't want to live with her parents, and I had a place so she can smoke weed, do whatever she want, probably invite other dicks over when I'm at work. The last time it happened, it was because COVID happened, and this one bartender chick, she was like really out of a job and really like, you know, COVID shut her job down, you know, and good for me. I hate it when guys brag to other guys, but I'm not like Big Pippin. I sympathize or idealize with the dude that has to struggle to get whatever. The one thing about when you're single and all that, you could do whatever the fuck you want. Like, if I had a stupid chick right now, I wouldn't be able to buy hunting knives and have time for this shit. You're on lockdown. And it seems like having a chick or being in a relationship is just like destined to either fail or you have to keep the show going with a lot of energy and money and time and stupid shit like that, or this rock ain't that stable, or you got to get fat, both of you, and not really care about the same kind of fiery, passionate intimacy you guys once had. Because, like, you get locked down in this relationship, you have to become home team, and, like, the air of mystery, and, like, the air of mystery and, like, I don't know, passion or forbidden romance or the forbidden fruit of physicality, it wears down. And now somebody else out there is like forbidden fruit, you know? It's always the same shit. And like I'm fat right now. I don't care. I'm having fun doing whatever I want. But there's a lot of dudes out there nowadays. I'm almost Generation X. And a lot of my friends are older than me, is Generation X, whatever. And like Dana White, the president of UFC, said, if you're a little bit of a savage, you can go a long way nowadays. And I'm not saying I'm all badass, alpha male savage. What I'm trying to say is, a lot of dudes nowadays, they have like a Funko Pop collection, or like they want to sit there all day and whack off to anime prawn, or like they play video games obsessively. They have all these hobbies that chicks deep down know, or they're too stupid to know, that it bores the shit out of them yet. And they're just waiting for, yeah, anyways, me and my friends were always like martial artists, and I think real dangerous guys or real dangerous sports are like people who go deep sea diving with sharks, or bull fighters, bull riders, NASCAR race, people who like jump out of planes, like what's it, skydiving, or people who go like in the military, even, you know, Army Ranger, Navy. That stuff is really extreme. Like that's a really high echelon, but like, I mean, martial arts isn't pretty It's not really at the bottom of the totem pole either. But you guys, sorry for the vulgarity. Let me see. Broke it. Oh, hey, somebody said I broke your stuff in football. Wow, man. Hey, I give props to football, man. Hey, how you guys doing? What am I doing? I'm in Idlewild, guys. It takes me a while to respond to messages, but dude, football's some really high testosterone sports. Pardon me, guys. You can guess what I have to do over here. I don't want to be TMI. Drink a lot of water, but yeah, you gotta have some balls to play football. Football and powerlifting have one thing in common. Like, you know, football's an impact sport. Powerlifting's pretty badass, but yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be as dangerous as football unless, you know, you're gonna get a huge hernia. But like, football's a sport that obviously you have to have full on adrenaline to commit to those plays. So I give that a lot of props, man. I was on the wrestling team. Um, like, I done martial arts, and in martial arts, depending on what's going on during the match, whatever you want to call it, there's modes of relaxation. A lot of modes of being like loose and stalling, and you know, a lot of it's aerobics. Um, Football's all like anaerobic. Anaerobic is like, you know, you're going full max intensity to the point that, you know, that's why it's all stop and go. You wouldn't be able to do that 20 minutes straight. You have to, you know, sit on the bench and wait for somebody else to kind of do your thing, or as long as you can keep doing it. But feel free to elaborate if you're still there how you broke your ankles in football. I'm gonna say that you cut a corner, you know, like you're running and you change your trajectory and you kind of your cleats dug into something that you didn't pivot. You couldn't pivot. Like you went one way, and your ankle stayed that way. Um, I learned wearing wrestling shoes is no go, man. Uh, I can't wear wrestling shoes. I have to. The kind of martial arts sport I did, I have to be able to pivot. I have to be able to twist my feet and slide on the ball of my foot. Um, you guys rock. I don't know if you're still there, but I don't blame you if you're not. It's not like I'm running in the mountain lions or anything. Oh, which is possible. I had a buddy that saw a mountain lion in this area very close to here last summer. This is November. Or what, last summer, the previous summer, whatever, this year. So, but yeah, I'm not seeing the anything to make that boar spear with yet, guys. But putting my vest jacket away. Look, this is Idlewild, guys. This is a part of Idlewild that there's no trail, man. It's, you know, but this is California is beautiful. All this turns on fire. You could tell this has been on fire before. You know, this is all dry. It's scorched. You know, but yeah, it is what it is. Another recommendation that I would have. So I brought these emergency cookies or whatever to eat. They're literally called like emergency. They come in yellow, whatever. Just like Google emergency food ration. The reason why I believe in those, this is a new epiphany. They don't promote thirst. The last time I went to on an exploration, which is days ago. I blew through my water because I was eating like beef jerky all day, and it was like peppered or something like that. And that kind of shit promotes thirst, dude. You don't want to blow through your water. And I mean, it's so hard to follow your dreams. I don't mean to keep sound like I'm whining, but I keep trying to find. Luckily, the car's that's gonna help me not get lost. I can hear where the road is. I keep trying to find adequate sized pots that you can boil water in. I guess I'm just that helplessly retarded. Everything I keep Googling, everything I keep finding at the store, right? It's double walled. You try to cook a double walled thing, it's gonna explode. Like literally, like I've done something stupid like that. You do not want to be there, man. Like it'll literally explode. Like embers and flames went everywhere. Freaking if that hit me in the face, God knows what that would have done. But it sounded like a shotgun. I don't know what kind of cactus or tree that is, but so I'm not even finding the kind of wood or. You know what's kind of scary? People do come out here because I know I left a small hatchet somewhere and I went back to retrieve it like the next week or whatever. It was totally gone. So it's like, who the hell is coming out here besides crazies like me, you know? And they went to the exact same spot. Yeah, anyway, I'm about to take my bandana off. Oh, I can't hear any water. That's alarming, man. Because this is a spot where this is a spot where I've always said that if there was like a life crisis, emergency, World War III, I would come here and just boil and purify the water. But the riverbed or whatever this is, it dried. Wow. Like, I sometimes wonder what it would be like if I stayed in Ohio. They have deer, they have seasons. Like, would this be full of luster and trees and woods and shade, you know? Would it be harder to start a fire there? Like, I know it'd be a lot colder. Yeah. Just makes me think, you know? But it's kind of pathetic. It's like I had family in Ohio. This is Thanksgiving. I have nowhere to go chill at. Thanksgiving, I got like no friends or family to go have a meal with or whatever. But I was such a rock and roll, hell on wheels kind of person. It doesn't bother me because I kind of knew that was going to happen. Because instead of walking the straight and narrow, I did this trial and error until I got what I wanted. And it's only a couple months straight. And then COVID alleviated and people started going back to work and me and that chick had to disband. But I hate it when sausage brags. This is right time, right place. But I couldn't fucking believe it, man. When I fucking piped that chick down, I was like, son of a bitch. The first thing I thought, I was like, bro, if you had a time machine and you told like the 11-year-old you, I remember being 11 years old watching like Kelly Bundy on the Married with Children, and my uncle owned this liquor store. There was all these posters of like beer chicks, you know, like in fucking bikinis and shit. And like, you know, bartender chicks are usually really hot. They're really promiscuous. They're really out of my league. And if I went back in time and told that little son of a bitch who was me, Hey, dude, one day you're gonna be totally railing the living crap out of some hot ass chick. I would have done more push-ups. I would have probably got better grades in school. I probably would have fucking gave a shit, man. I wouldn't have just fucked off playing video games all the time and shit. So, anyways, lesson learned out of that is you never know what's coming your way. You got to be prepared. You have to be prepared to take advantage of an opportunity. And I mean, I struck out. I struck out with a lot of chicks before her, dude. I looked like stupid and freaking like knew I had she was some chick was too much out of my league and got so nervous and totally killed it and simped out and fucking turned her away. Like at one time I was listening to bands called like Wasp and Motley Crue, and I was like getting full of like this heavy metal energy to go out and make an ass of myself, trial and error, strike out, trial and error, strike out. And then I would borrow from my friend's playbook and I would just lie my ass off. Like, see this? Like, this tips on your leg or some shit. So you have to like test these rocks. like I have this stupid sayings. Like, let's say like you don't have no car and you're riding the bus and you meet some chick. I would learn from my friends and be like, you don't say stupid shit like, oh, I'm getting my life back together now, and I had to ride the bus to go to work, and I'm just, you just keep on chugging along and trying. No, you go, oh yeah, totally was partying my ass off and got a DUI of my Dodge Vipers in the shop, and just, or like, I had a couple really shitty looking cars. When I would go to concerts or whatever, I'd find an excuse to park far as F away and to walk to the venue and just make some excuse. And that's how you get your catalytic converter stolen. But, another thing I keep fucking saying is, so this one hot chick I suckered on a date, but this time she was sober and she realized that wasn't interesting. So she's doing what hot chicks do, she's on her phone ignoring the shit out of me, and she breaks silence and she goes, oh, this dude is going to take me to this castle in Scotland that turned into a hotel. And I go, well, it's nice knowing you. I can't compete with that. She starts chuckling and laughing. And then we had this really serious discussion for a minute, an epiphany or whatever, that if this was still 1990 something, she wouldn't know right away she could do much better than me. She was like, yeah, I would probably end up being your girlfriend for like God knows what, 6 months or whatever, before I found some douchebag and got bored of you. And she's like, yeah, and all it would take was like, you get a bottle of vodka or something somehow. We go trespassing somewhere and you could F me under the stars. But now she has 5,000 friends on Instagram, 5,000 friends on Facebook or whatever. And yeah, that went absolutely nowhere. And it was really awkward and embarrassing when I would see her at other concerts. This is funny though. This is what I mean about like what I was saying, like kind of fake it till you make it, or just like live the lie until you score the world. Like, look, this isn't, I'm trying to be like a religious conservative person now, but I'm just trying to give you an example of how futile the freaking, how futile it is to try to freaking like party like it's 1999 and the year 3025 or whatever it is. So see her at this like little venue. She's kind of ignoring me and whatever. I'm in this little tag along and I feel pathetic, and she's ignoring me and stuff. So all throughout the night, there's this cute chick, man, and she kept going like, it's my birthday, nobody will buy me a beer. right? And everybody's a broke scrub. They're like, oh, never mind, not spending $9 for a beer there. And this is back in the day when $9 would be like, they'd be like $16 or something now. Everybody's broke. They made it to this underground show. We're all heavy metal scrubs. So I knew buying her a beer, that's whether it goes anywhere or not, that's a big risk. So I keep being this sad little tag along puppy dog with this chick that almost scored, or it's a long story. And she keeps ignoring me. I'm probably bugging. So eventually I see the other chick. I was like, hey, I'll buy you a beer, whatever. So I go up to her, put my arm around her. I say something in her ear because it's really loud. And then she says something like, and mind you, back in these days, I was like starving poor. So I had like a 6-pack and whatever. Excuse me. Whisper something in her ear. She had these little silly patches of bands that I knew. And the chick that I was talking to previously and striking out, she's like really hard, like death metal and shit like that. But this other chick, like heavy metal, she's more my genre. So, yeah, good for me, I put my arm around her, and looks like I'm sealing the deal, right? So we walk away, and I look at the other chick right in her eye and smile, like wave by. And that chick, the look on her face was kind of dumbfounded, right? Because that chick that was all rejected me, she tried to look really, really hot on purpose. But, she was a little bit older, and she was, you could tell without the makeup and all that, and she was in good shape, but it's starting to wear on her, all the partying, And this other chick was all freaking, really tight and fucking actually benevolent looking and sweet and very pretty. And so I walk away with that chick, and I just made it look like I was hooking up with the world, even if I didn't, because that chick was a drunk mess, and her boyfriend found her. And I don't want to step on toes. I was the kind of dude back then that would steal a chick, but she's this drunk, incoherent mess, and now he's pulls her away. And me being a really bad guy, I was like, he's like, scolding her. I was like, dude, please hit her so I could beat your ass and take her back. It's so wrong, right? I was like, the moment this dude slaps her, I'm going to bust in like Captain Save-A-Ho and then freaking whoop his ass and, carry her off into the sunset. But I don't even think I had a car back then. So, yeah, my boomer stories. Okay, we're looking for a spear, something to see if we can mount the Tops SXB to be the bore spear that it says it can be. So I guess I'll go venture to these trees. But yeah, whatever. So back on more relatable topics. Oh yeah, so I became like a conservative religious nut job because the last hot chick that I lost, I had this epiphany that we actually had a lot of stupid things in common. Like I was like, we're supposed to get married and have stupid little kids and shit. And my simping ass was, delusional that was going to happen. And then when she faded away back to the bar scene and being a bartender and freaking getting tips with ballers, and now she has to be halfway sober and she sees I'm a scrub, it just, faded away. And so I kind of I instead of digressing back into the heavy metal world and going back to Butterfaces, which I did for a little bit, had an epiphany that, look, you could be the most hard dude out there, like big pimping, or you could be like some really misogynistic incel or whatever, but deep down, every dude at one time had some stupid crush, and you're wanting that stupid chick and raise a family and all that fandy dandy shit. And if this was still the 1800s, If this was still the medieval times, she would be your chick because, I mean, right time, right place. You're young, you hook up, you have kids. Now you live on a farm. Now there might be warfare. The town, you know, while you're at war or while you're working in the field, the elders of the village or the community make sure your chick isn't cheating on you with Chad. Like all this shit, and that's how the world is supposed to be. But nowadays, we have a lot of people just hooking up, and you have these chicks that just because on a scale of 1 to 10, they're a 3 or a 5. They think they're at a 17, and then because all these thirsty fools keep barking up their tree on social media, they think they're too good for whatever, and nobody wants to settle down to their freaking old and crusty. I mean, like in your 30s, it's not old, but you're not supposed to wait that long to have offspring, man, because the fact of the matter, like, okay, so I was an ogreous monstrosity. I was told I was as big as a fourth grader in kindergarten, and it's because my dad totally freaking tagged my mom up and scored when she was only 19. I chopped that branch down. I have a video on it, a short. I don't know what I named it, but K-bar, kukri, and chopping down a tree. I hear the water, but there was all sorts of shit all over the ground last time, looked like spider webs or whatever. So there is water somewhere. What the? 8 o'clock. I don't even remember setting an alarm. See, we're testing out the rocks. Testing out the rocks. Yeah. So I gotta take this out of my belt to squat down. Luckily, there's no rattlesnakes and shit. They're more of a summertime animal. One thing that's pretty rampant in this season would be wild boar. It's already fucking hot, man. This state pisses me off. The traffic sucks. It's a huge fucking desert. Ugh. My allergies. Pardon me. But yeah, it is what it is, man. Freaking A. See, this is why nature wants to kick your ass. Like, that stream isn't big enough to fish. You can't, the only game that would be out here would be, besides, if you can shoot birds, besides that measly shit, you can eventually run into a wild boar, and you'd have to be ready and waiting all fucking day long because they try to avoid you. Like, the energy that you would have to spend to thrive out here, it's ungodly. It's just not, it's not habitable. It's just not habitable for life, dude. It's freaking desert. So it reminds you in life that there's no retreat, man. You can't just sequester yourself to go freaking live in the woods of society. It takes a shit. Because you're going to run out of water. There's nothing to eat out here. And it's a huge walk back to civilization. And no one's going to help you. You're an old dick. You know? No one gives a fuck about you, dude. If you're broke, if you're not spending money, if you're not producing or paying someone's bills and shit, and you have a fucking dick, nobody fucking cares, dude. That also reminds me, like, you know, a lot of people want socialism because of stuff like that. It's really the job of the church to do stuff like that, man. Like, I don't think this is gonna be a good boar spear. But, one time, okay, so there's this church around here, Protestant church, of course, and it was at nighttime, and they have this big empty parking lot. There's like never people there, like only twice a week, Wednesdays and Sundays. And then there's like this bum, and he's sleeping on the sidewalk outside this church. I mean, isn't that exactly like the parable of the Bible where that rich man ignores Lazarus, the bum? Yeah, this is good firewood. That's not making a spear. This is probably, but how long is this? That's too brittle too. Just no one's gonna give a shit. So I'm always praying to God that I don't fall into that problem of obscurity. I pray to God that I stay healthy my whole life. Like one of my prayers is like I don't mind working to my very last breath, like never retiring, you know, as long as I'm healthy and can take care of myself, because nobody's gonna give a fuck, man. If you're born with a dick and you're not paying someone's bills, or you're not buying something or whatever, or you look like shit, or you're loitering, and Karen's gonna call the cops to have you fucking removed. And people are gonna like, some security guard's gonna come out of nowhere and be like, hey man, can you please get up and go die somewhere else? This is, I'm sorry to say, but it's not a Christian country, you know? And I'm not talking shit on like Catholic or Orthodox churches, because Catholics contribute to a shitload of charities. Like, I think besides UNICEF, the Roman Catholic Church is the most charitable organization in the world. And then Orthodoxy, they come from such like communist and such poor backgrounds that they're not going to be, they don't have the backing to really make a dent in the world. They're like immigrants, and they're a minority in the Western world. So it's not, but these Protestant churches, these mega churches and all that, like that Joe Osteen dude, whenever there's like a natural catastrophe, a flood, a hurricane, whatever, he closes his doors. It's just a TED Talk, like Amway concert with a bunch of fucking douchebag, gentrified fucking idiots coming to virtue signal. Like, they beta male eyes their fucking kids so much that now they're scared of them turning gay. So they have this rally with the most god-awful fucking effeminate music in the world. But see, the spear's still sharp. Not bad. I can't find boar spear. Some possum was in my engine and wouldn't get the fuck out, and I had to stab it with this spear. Yeah, you know. So another little tip. If I was attacked by a wild animal, a spear would be like what I would want to do. But here's the thing, okay? You can't see with me doing it with two hands. Like, this is gonna deflect off a bear or a boar skull. You'd have to really change levels to try to get up and under it to hit it in the thorax, right? Like, trust me, you're not, the thing is, if it hits their bony skull, instead of going through it, it's gonna probably slide up and out of it. So what would probably be what you'd have to do with a backpack all weighted down is have one of these bad boys, and basically like hopefully have the time and mental wherewithal to sidestep it, bah, and brain this motherfucker. This is the Cold Steel Trench Hawk. I can elaborate about all this shit, man. These things, if you keep, I'm not gonna, I would throw it. I know somebody's gonna want to see me throw, yeah. I'll throw it when I leave, okay, guys? Because I want this spike and this to stay sharp. This is Chinese steel, and I don't have to stop and resharpen it if I ran into some crazy endeavor. I want this fresh as fuck to be able to defend my life. So, is what it is. And let me alleviate myself from this morning's coffee and to not be a TMI and stuff. So sorry, guys. Give me a second. Let me go do my thing, and then I'm gonna check some whatchamacallit. Everybody's messaging me. Can't find a bore speeder. I'm kind of annoying, man. Like I don't generally never performed off my personality. I did stuff like, oh, as a martial artist, or oh, pro wrestling, or I could play bass guitar somewhat too, but it would take me a while to get coordinated again. Who cares, right? All I know is we actually found some shade, but I can't find a bore speeder. Can't find a bore speeder. So, if anybody cared to say stuff, nobody's watching. What a surprise. I just turned people off. So, this is Idylwild, y'all, and I can't find a stick to make a bore spear. To the wind. Oh, there's no straight stick. But yeah, guys, if anybody sees this, comment something. Man, I'm sorry. This is really uneventful because I can't find a boar spear. Oh, this is going to be really, really brittle wood. I got my tomahawk. So yeah, fellas, it's really quiet, nice and beautiful out here though. I don't really want to move from this location because it's too shady and too nice. starting a fire here would probably be pretty dangerous. Does anybody know if you can eat that cactus? I don't know what kind of cactus that is. Let's go check out this set of wood. Sun exposure. There's just no commensurate wood to make that spear. That would be okay, but to get to it. Wow, there's just nothing to make that spear with. Oh. Who else has fell into a cactus before? Has anybody else fell into a cactus? See, the hard thing is, you would have to make a shitty spear first to cut down a higher branch to fucking make another shitty spear. There's just no good wood. There's like good firewood here. It's already been burned. There's a lot of dead vegetation. But they had this thing in California where they want to start clearing all this up, like a major effort to clean up the forests because it'll make it like not burn or something. My qualm is if you're in a survival situation, if you had to make a fire to keep warm, it would be very, very easy to do it with all this shrubs and stuff. Well, what I learned this year is making a spear is futile. I can't even find a good walking stick out here. It's better to have a tomahawk than a spear. This looks really familiar. Closest thing I could find. This is really brittle. It's hollowed out. I'm just not gonna find a spear. What I was trying to do, I have this knife that supposedly can mount as a spear, and I'm just not. Just not seeing it. I'm gonna waste a bunch of energy and time looking for something that doesn't exist. There's like nowhere to sit. See if any new comments. Nobody is watching. So, fellas, I don't know if you're in the know about this stuff or you care, but so the world is the closest it's been to World War III ever since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Um, Ever since 9/11, they instituted the Patriot Act. You can watch this channel called Hampton Law. Hampton, like the Hampton Inn, like a hotel. He talks about how the Supreme Court is finding more and more ways to violate our constitutional rights. Uh, in the last, 5 years, we had this pandemic, an embellished pandemic that was obviously made in China on purpose to halt capitalism, the flow of the economy, because China can afford to lose people, man. They have too many people. They don't have enough like women for the men. They're very overpopulated. I don't know if you know the condition of China, but it's a pollution sweatshop factory where people kill themselves from working at factories all day. There's a lot of people who try to go to school and all that, but they can't get a job or anything. They can't get married. China doesn't like the U.S. You know, um, China's GDP is right under USA, and their population is like literally. I think someone said it's like almost half the whole globe. America's GDP is a little bit higher, but we're only 4% of the whole world. Russia just displayed an ICBM missile. Did you hear that? Let me look around real quick. That can't be rivaled. No one can deflect. So I guess nobody can deflect this missile, you know? So Trump has been talking about negotiating peace in Ukraine and Russia, and then the Biden administration, who's on their way out but not out yet, they gave Ukraine the green light to throw some crazy missiles at the heartland of Russia. Ever since the significance of that, ever since World War II, the Allies have never directly attacked the motherland and stuff like that, you know? And Russia is mad because ever since NATO or the UN came into existence, so Russia got left out of it. All these Slavic countries, Eastern European countries are joining NATO. So there's more and more American weapons closer and closer to the border of Russia. And then all these NATO countries, all their weaponry and everything is manufactured in the U.S. It's the military-industrial complex going on. So America's making all this economy and money, you know. Then Ukraine, all of a sudden, wants to either join NATO or they have Western weapons at the border. And now it's like Russia's Cuban Missile Crisis. And Russia's like, we had enough. We're trying to tell you guys to get your shit away from our border, you know? We're not playing around. So Russia and America has had a lot of proxy wars, you know. The Korean War, right? The Korean War was North Korea is to Russia as, you know, green apples are to red apples. Russia, China, North Korea, and they're all allies, you know. I mean, North Korean soldiers, they get their luggage and their weapons and all that from Russia. And no one's even watching this, so I don't know why I bother, but the world's been as close as it's going to get so far to World War III. And a lot of people, they're not ready, man. America wants to party. America wants to have a good time. You know, so we had the pandemic, and we had people that are fighting for freedom and being vocal about everything. They're getting canceled from Google. You know, they try to incarcerate President Trump, and nobody's doing anything. You know, we have the Second Amendment. We have our American forefathers giving us the green light to uh, invoke change by force. But nobody wants to do this, man. They're waiting for they think that positive thinking. So you know that January 6th shit. What if it was you? I mean, maybe you're not an extrovert like that, but what if it was you who was trying to be about freedom and your right to peaceful protest and all that? And what if you were going to prison? What if you were doing something really, really good for your country in your heart and being a patriot? And you got famous for it, but now you're going to suffer the consequences. You're going to get canceled. Your family or your bread depends on whatever kind of platform you had, or you're going to be incarcerated, right? And nobody cares. Like, they just let you rot in jail. What if that goes down? They're gonna let you rot in jail for doing the right thing, and your own countrymen do nothing, right? We have the Second Amendment. We have the American forefathers telling us in times like these we have to do what's right, and that, put it this way, there's not a lot of people saying this online, man. Like, it's really taboo. And hopefully, like, President Trump said that eventually free speech is going to be the green light. You can't be canceled, deplatformed. No one's telling you guys what you already know, that Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, they said that time to time, like inevitable, the tree of liberty is going to have to be watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants. And I think it was Thomas Jefferson. He's like, those people who sacrifice security for freedom, they don't deserve either. Again, as I was saying, guys, we America's been going through a lot of crazy stuff, like the embellished pandemic, and then you had like Kyle Rittenhouse going to go to jail, that January 6th mascot dude going to go to jail, Trump going to go to jail, the stolen ballots. Rewind like 20 years ago, the Patriot Act, and nobody's doing anything. It's like they're waiting for Jason Aldean to lead the charge when Big Brother finally comes to our small town, or we'll just like fly some American flags, and we'll say USA USA, but nobody is willing to risk their lives for their posterity's sake. If they really believe that the country's going to shit, if they really believe the left and the Democrats and the deep state and all that is trying to take a giant shit on our lives, they don't believe enough about it. They don't believe enough to get off their ass and to actually invoke change by force. And if things go and take a giant shit, it's our fault. Like, there's this saying, when the people who had to go to the death camps in Germany, like, how we burned in the camps that we didn't meet them at the Gestapo, whatever, with at the gates with clubs and pitchforks. And so we're letting our freedoms be evaporated. We're letting everything go to shit, and people are just gonna cross their fingers and hope for the best. You know, There's a saying in the military that hope isn't a good plan. So yeah, guys, enemies, natural enemies are always going to be there. Sometimes deep friendship comes out of having natural enemies. You were born on the different sides of the tracks, you're from different niches, you're just by nature ordained to be opposed. And you have this mutual respect because you come from different worlds, different terrains, different backgrounds, and one isn't evolved and suited for the other. So you have this mutual like respect. But true enemies, real enemies, they're they're people who are wolves in sheep's clothing. They're people who disguise themselves as friends. They're people who smile at you and they shake your hand with a knife behind their back. Those are the real enemies, the bureaucrats, the deep state, the people who have been betraying our country, the people who are willing to sell our freedoms out and sell out our country to for a buck, you know. So I hope that's I hope that rings a bell with you guys, whoever may be watching, man. That we're not, put it this way, like those domestic terrorist groups like Antifa and BLM over stupid shit. Those guys had an uproar and riots and all that, but over a righteous cause, a lot of people on the right side of the spectrum, they're being like frogs in boiling water, like frogs, slowly boiling in water. They don't jump out until it's way too late. Again, what I'm talking about is with all the economic and political distress that our country's been going through, right? Everybody on the right side of the spectrum, we're being like frogs in a boiling pot of water, being slowly boiled and not jumping out. And we're letting freedoms evaporate little by little. We're letting the Constitution being shit on little by little. But these stupid groups that on the left, like BLM, Antifa, whenever some stupid pops off, they're quick to get off their ass. They're quick to riot and cause distress. But people on the right, we have a righteous cause. You know, we have our forefathers of this country giving us the green light to go whoop some ass for God and country. But a lot of people are just hoping for the best. Again, what I'm saying is, remember, guys, we had that embellished pandemic. We had freedom fighters being deplatformed or almost jailed, like Kyle Rittenhouse and Alex Jones and President Trump. They stole the ballots, the elections. Rewind like 20 years, the Patriot Act and all that kind of stuff. And we have the Second Amendment. We have a God given right to go raise hell about it. But we're kind of just letting our freedom fighters go get in prison, get canceled, and we're just crossing our fingers and hoping for the best. So, as I was saying, if the country goes to shit, it's because we got up and did nothing. We can blame it on the deep state. We can blame it on the political left. As I was saying, natural enemies are always going to be there. It's a fact of nature, like Russia, like communism, like other countries, right? And natural enemies like them, there's a possibility of mutual respect because you come from different environments, you come from different niches, you evolve differently. It's just ordained that you're enemies, but real enemies are those who disguise themselves as your kinsmen, your countrymen, your friends, but like the deep state, the bureaucrats. Those are the people who are our real internal enemies because those are the ones who are going to sabotage you. You know. So, yeah, fellas, it's just a reminder that the world's changing rapidly, and we're on like the verge of World War III or whatever. If you don't know, so the Biden administration gave the green light for Ukraine to send missiles, attack them, on Russian soil. And Russia's not stupid. They know that Ukraine wouldn't be able to send those missiles without America giving them like the cheat codes, the access codes. The significance of that, guys. Russia and the United States have always had proxy wars, like in Korea, Vietnam. Other, I'm not the greatest historian, but you get the point. Never before has the Allies actually up and bombed the motherland like that. And so Putin sent, I plays tricks on you out here. Putin sent an ICBM missile to Ukraine, and it displayed. So what I'm hearing is the ICBM missile could have been a nuke, and look at the footage of it raining from the sky. Right, the ICBM nukes that Russia has, they're not deflectable. There's this channel called Prophetic Message. It's not what it sounds like. I thought it was going to be some weird like evangelical, like psychic, like end times. You know, I am a Christian and I do believe in that stuff to a big point. You guys hear that? Hope this is a bird. But it's not. It's some guys that are really smart, some old heads who are really politically savvy, talking about one of the. I'm all for Trump. One of the dudes that Trump hired for the administrator of defense or whatever, he's got some bold warmonger rhetoric that he's spitting at Putin when Putin just showcased he has this badass missile that we can't deflect. So right now, Putin's showing a lot of military superiority, and Zelensky is happy to provoke Russia because what Zelensky, however, Biden and Zelensky is making their money off this military-industrial complex warmongering. Zelensky doesn't want this dog and pony show to end. He knows Trump is going to go negotiate and all that, so he's trying to make it really hard for everyone. And he wants to drag NATO and the United States and the whole West and the world with him, so that this dog and pony show of his won't end. So that's what's going on, guys. So like, enjoy your holiday, but right now, the people in the know, they're saying that we've never been this close to World War III since like the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it's easy to just be gung ho and patriotic for USA. I was talking to this one dude about how the Russian ethos and the Russian machismo is such that they don't want to see Putin back down. They're going to get a positive result out of this. They're a very they're almost an ancient country, and they're very versed in warfare. You know, all the, just look at Russian history, right? And he was all like, well, you know, the United States is no spring chicken to warfare either, and we're badass. It's like, yes, I know, man. But again, like I just said, they just displayed a missile that we can't deflect. And they have like portable bomb shelter bungalows in the streets for their citizens. I mean, Americans are pretty badass, but come on, man, we are not thinking that far ahead. We're not thinking that warlike all the time. We all have this like this hope and expectation that we're gonna go back to like the prosperity of like the late 20th century. We're gonna have at least 4 years of Big Daddy Trump fixing the economy and making things more affordable, and it's time to breathe and enjoy life again. But now we have the Democrats starting this shit show, and my whole spiel is that with the Second Amendment, with our American balls of steel, with our righteous cause, we should have whooped the ass of the Democrats already long ago, except that we're in a civil war. We're going to have, I heard like the Young Turks, they've been saying some good things about Trump, but I mean, like, we're going to have people in that, the left, you know, everything that's all that woke shit, all that, they're going to be, you know, rioting. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to be like little terrorist counter strikes. And that's why, like, America should be on red alert. Patriots, all the people on the right should be united and strapped and ready to defend their family for God and country against these little shits, you know, uh, retaliation, for fighting a losing game. And I'm always joking that if there's a civil war, people who are on the right, those people are all tactical. Those people are veterans. Those people like shoot for fun, and the people on the left with their like black market special Glock shooting sideways while trying to hold up their saggy pants. You get the point. But we are in a culture war. Another thing that I was hearing is everybody on the right isn't very united, you guys, because you have like the libertarian camp, which some of them have like very distressing moral issues. Like they have a lot of freedom beliefs, like libtards. Like if you're into family and tradition and Christianity, a lot of the libertarian material that I've been seeing, they are not. I want to say I'm libertarian, but a lot of them, they want they don't think Trump is good enough either. Well, one, they have a point. They were saying something about Trump did sign some things to make it kind of like Armalites are still not fully accessible. Like basically, like the political spectrum on the right of recent years or decades or whatever, they're not full fledged like Second Amendment kind of people. And anyways, they're just pro prostitution, pro abortion. They're just I'm like too traditional minded for them or whatever. But at the same time, I do believe in a lot of libertarian values in that the Constitution should be looked at like the Holy Bible, right? I went on a tangent there. I apologize, but the fact of the matter is, on the right, we're pretty divided. We don't have like a real common creed. That's what they were saying. That we don't really have a common creed on the right. You have the evangelicals and like Catholics, and then like people who have like only like right wing politics as it comes to economic situations, but they have like more like liberal uh, beliefs and ethos when it comes to certain like moral freedoms and legalized vices or whatever. So, nonetheless, what I'm just trying to say is everybody on the right should have some common like Nicene Creed goals, like Constitution, right? And just be on red alert because it just seems like everything's taking a huge shit. I could go on a tangent, but like I'm out here, I don't have any guns, man. I have silly things like tomahawk and badass hunting knife because if 5 stops me, this is California, man. You're not allowed to be strapped, man. Could keep elaborate on that. You could check this. I'm in Idlewild right now, and San Jacinto, some dude was shooting blatantly out in the street. This was the summertime, around July. This was on, I want to say State Street, whatever. And check this out, man. I'm not trying to sound heroic, but I was only a block away. I'm usually right there at some donut shop, right? Like, the reason why I would want to interdict and try to circumvent death that he got somebody in the street, and I think the cops eventually put him down. They shut the street down or whatever. The reason why a person like me would want the notoriety of being a hero is for like clout. Looks good on a resume for security. It's a lottery ticket to try to be like some kind of 15 minutes of fame. It's the wrong motive, but it still goes to show you that bad guys are always going to have the upper hand because they have the first move. All my guns and stuff like that, they're all locked away and shoved up my ass because I'm more afraid of the law than protecting my livelihood. I don't want to have to get booked in and then do that, the whole thing and get a felony. So I'm never strapped. I like spears and tomahawk and knife and bear mace, and that's just asking to get your ass whooped if you had a lot of stuff to be taken away. If I had like a wife and some daughters or whatever, I would just illegally be strapped. I'd be like, F it. I'd be like, well, it doesn't look like I'm loitering. I'm a family man. I don't think I'm going to get vetted or checked anyways. But it just goes to show you that bad guys, they don't follow the laws. They don't care if it's a gun free zone. I believe that guy who was doing the shooting, he had an extended magazine Glock, man. I mean, like, you can't, that's illegal in California. Like, look at, like, bad guys are never gonna follow the rules. The bad guys, they have all day to plot your demise. They're like on parole or they don't have a job and they're just sitting there soaking in demons on meth, and they hate you for having a life that they feel like they can't have. You got a girl, you got a job, you got a car, whatever. They're sitting there thinking the system and the world is against them. So they're sitting there not following the rules, and they have all day to come at you sideways out of nowhere and when you're least expecting it, because you're just Joe Schmo and you got to pay bills and you got to do the commute to work and get back home so you could drink one beer, eat, and say hi to your kids before you go to sleep and do it again. And then boom, out of nowhere, there they are, man, with all that seething hatred. Like, it's just retarded. It's so retarded. And the dude who shot people up in the middle of the street, he hit one person, I believe. So there's footage of him. He's like at a liquor store. I don't know how a liquor store is open that early. Don't ask me. So it looked like he didn't have the money to buy something. Like, he bought something for like literally only $1 or whatever. And he's wearing like this clean white sweater. So he's trying to be fly and like dress nice or whatever. He can't afford shit, but somehow he has a Glock with an extended magazine, and he just goes shooting in the middle of the street, man, throwing his life away. It just doesn't make sense. I remember working at this one place, community action, whatever. It was like a place where people come to get free food and apply for government help or whatever. There would be people coming in there in Bentleys. They like park in the back, so like it's not obvious you came in a Bentley, right? And they're coming to try to prove that they need like food stamps or free food or something like that. So it's like these guys don't have enough money to like eat or supposedly eat or like pay for their own rent or something. And they have an Obama phone or whatever, but they have Bentleys, nice clothes, and somehow Glocks. It makes no sense, man. I know I sound contradicted, but that really happened. Somebody shot people in the middle of the street with an extended magazine Glock in San Jacinto, California, this July. And it's like evil prevails when good people do nothing, right? Because, like, I mean, if I'm always kicking it there, man. If I was allowed to be strapped, and because we live in the Wild West. I mean, you guys, I would tell liberals or whatever people are anti-guns and all that. I would tell them like this: if guns didn't exist, I would be all for that, man. I'm an ogre, man. I've done martial arts, dude. It sounds corny, but I can really use weapons. I'm sure I would shit bricks if a warthog came out of nowhere, a mountain lion or whatever. But I mean, if there's a job that has to be done, the average person isn't going to want to have to be on the receiving end of that shit because I'm an ogre. I did martial art, whatever. I don't mean to flex. What I'm just saying is, like, now anybody who anybody who doesn't have the time to exercise or learn Krav Maga or whatever, they can still defend their family due to a pistol. But at the same respect, any measly piece of shit that is a fucking parasite in this world can also take the life of a great person just trying to live and let live and trying to have a family and a job and be a decent person and citizen because they came strapped, they came at you sideways, they came out of nowhere, it was spontaneous. And we all know, right? People don't F around when they know other people are going to be strapped. All those people who do those mass shootings and all that, they target movie theaters or whatever. There's going to be a mass amount of people who have to funnel themselves to run away. There's like a herd of people just to spray and pray that are defenseless. And I mean, that's just how it is, man. This one dude had this shirt. It was funny. It's like American until Texas succeeds. That's funny. And I could go on this like tangent about on the conservative side, which I want to be a part of and I consider myself a part of. I did I don't sound ghetto enough to get the benefit of the doubt to be all hood, G, and whatever. I did come from the wrong side of the tracks. I have had a lot of negative instances with Karens and all that for just looking poor and fucked up. So I mean, like, I get it, but the left tries to take this moral high ground that's just not there. But back to the topic about the Second Amendment. We don't live in the medieval era no more. People, guns exist. We live in the Wild West. Bad guys are always going to have them. So if good guys are not allowed to have them, it's stupid. Another thing about libertarians, they don't really want there to be like, they're kind of diminutive or denigrating of the police force because, you know, like if you watch this channel that I recommend, I don't want to, he wouldn't want me to associate him. But okay, so I don't know how it is in your state, but I've been vetted and had to just like, plead the fifth and whatever because the authorities wanted to basically rip my vehicle apart to try to find, alleged firearms, and it's just like, please, man, just leave me alone, dude. There's a lot of I'm sorry to just go on tangents. I was working at this one place on my lunch break. I fell asleep on my lunch break. I woke up to these young cops. I don't want to disclose what city or whatever. My friend was trying to get a police report. He was all pissed off. I got dragged literally out of my front window and humiliated, and it gets worse and worse. You wouldn't believe the story, just for looking poor and stupid. And they were like, you could tell they were like new to the force and like rookies and beat cops like kids, man. And I'm like, I was like 30-something-year-old man at that time. It just go like, please give the job of police to like seasoned, like older veterans, like 30 years old or something. Don't just let some punk kid live with his parents so they can like support him through academy. Then he gets out with this power tripping issue. Like if you're that young as they were, go do fucking man work for. I'm not saying police work isn't man work. It's fucking really heavy work. But I'm saying like go fucking do construction, unload some trucks and shit like that. Go learn to weld, mechanics or something like that. Be seasoned. Another time I got really effed with by police, right, for looking poor and stupid and just trying to walk through. I literally had to walk from Corona, California to Box Springs and Moreno Valley because the buses don't run that late, to be there at 4:30 in the morning to unload heavy sports equipment, right? So I get this one young cop. He's really fucking with me. This one older. You hear that twig break? This one older cop. He comes out of this vehicle and he's just like, oh, another night on the force, And he's all like, Hoss. And I forgot what his name was. He was an older cat that I used to go to the gym with. he was street smart. He knows a clown like me isn't hood. I'm not a gangster. I don't gang bang. I'm not on meth. I'm not a joker, man. It's not like I have a bunch of cocaine in my pocket, and that's another reason why I'm not getting all the chicks. It's just like, please use some discretion. please don't just fuck with citizens because you're bored. So let me look at some comments. People telling me to F off, you know. Yeah, nobody else commented. So, video's whack and bunk. Made a lot of sense, but nobody gives a shit. Everybody has to eat turkey and jack off. Later, guys.